New year, new learning curve, but it still doesn't change that there are three things that you should always remember when you're playing an opponent who is frankly better than you at the game, or you're playing someone who has you outgunned. When you're playing Ultimate Team, you're rocking that no money spent, and they've got the God Squad.
Hey, it's war.
In today's YouTube video, I'm going to share with you those three tips, and I'm going to get you guys winning more games early and often this year. Let's get into it. What is up, guys? Zan from the Zan Madden YouTube channel, and we're going to go over the three things that you need to know to beat better players or better teams in Madden 24. Our number one reason players lose games against players who are frankly better, and that is you're playing too fast. Yes, you're playing too fast. Let's talk about two reasons why playing too fast is really, really bad when you're playing someone who is superior. You can tell right away they know more about the game than you. They have a better defense, or they have a better offense than you know how to stop, and you decide that you want to play fast and up to their tempo. Why is this a bad thing? Well, more plays equals more opportunity for your opponent to show their superiority.
Slowing the game down.
And basically controlling clock is arguably the most overlooked skill set in Madden. So this is really the tip hidden within the big mistake players make, which is playing too fast. If you can slow the tempo of the game down, and that doesn't mean that you just have to run the ball, you could just take more time setting up your plays. Playing at a tempo that slows the game down reduces the total number of snaps and reduces the opportunities for your opponents to exhibit their superiority or to allow their better team to play better than your team. You can hang in those games and steal those games. So play with better tempo. We'll explain that a little bit more in our second point, which is game management.
What are you saying to me?
Game management. Yes, this is probably the most overlooked thing, so it could have been number one, to be honest with you. But I think in general, players play too fast. That's why that went number one. But game management. A lot of players don't understand that game management starts and ends with you dictating tempo on both sides of the ball. A lot of players think that you can only control clock when you possess the football, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And the reason that I say that is, let's say that we're in a scenario where we are maybe up by, let's say 5 points. Somehow we found ourselves in a scenario, it's late in the third quarter, and we're in a spot where we kind of know that it's really hard to stop our opponent. We're really struggling with it. They're able to score pretty easily, and that 5-point lead is certainly going to end up being a 2-point or maybe 3-point deficit because they're going to score a touchdown. Does it make more sense for you in a scenario to blitz and give up those quick yardage, allowing them to score early in the fourth quarter? Or in some scenarios, does it make more sense for you to drop back, play bend but don't break, hopefully get them down into the red zone, and maybe allow them to have a longer drive, thus meaning that you are controlling the clock while on defense? So that way, if they do take the lead by 2 or 3 with, say, maybe a minute and a half to go, you're now in a situation where you could potentially go on a game-winning drive where if they do stop you, they're not going to have enough time on their own to really do anything with what you leave them back. This is an example of game management. The ability to think 2, maybe even 3 drives ahead and understand exactly how much possession is going to be left for both teams is a critical mistake that a lot of players miss when they're playing this game. There is sometimes something to playing really aggressive on defense, ripping the band-aid off and letting them score quickly. And sometimes it makes a lot more sense to just say, you know what? I'm not going to try to blitz. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to make you check it down 1,000 times, even though I know you'll do it. Your drive is going to take 3.5 minutes. I'm going to have a minute to work with to potentially steal this game-winning field goal. Again, if you don't have a great offense that can stay on the field because your opponent is better or has a better roster, it's going to be really hard to run a 4-minute drill. So why not make it a situation where your tempo on a game-winning drive could be no huddle? And again, it works both ways. If you're real confident in your ability to stay on the field on offense, maybe you're in a situation where you play aggressively in that scenario, let them rip the band-aid off rather than them having a long drive where they basically end with no time left and you can't respond. Maybe you rip that band-aid off and let them kind of score. Not necessarily score, but you play a little bit more aggressive and you hope that they make a mistake. Again, understanding how to play drives ahead is huge. Another example is understanding when you have ball at half versus when your opponent has ball at half. Double dipping the chip, meaning that you score last before half and get ball coming right back out, is a lot of times the biggest thing in Madden. I would say that I made a year for myself in Madden 23 by being arguably at my best in my Madden history, being able to double dip.
The double dip.
A lot of times I'd have ball at half, I get a stop early. I would make sure that I had a drive no matter what, guaranteeing points right before half. And then I'd have the ball again at half, up 3 or up 7 with a chance to make it a 2-score game. And if I have the ball in the second half to start, my opponent is probably only getting 1 drive in the second half, which means that I'm getting 2 drives in the second half. And if I'm up by 2 possessions and they only get 1 drive, the game is effectively already over. Again, you just don't have to make any critical mistakes that lose you a ball game in that spot. So understanding how to play 2-3 drives ahead is the most overlooked thing, arguably a number 1 on this list, but I put it at number 2. And that is going to bring us to our last point, but certainly not one that you should overlook, and that is the red zone. It goes without saying, but honestly, it needs said because a lot of players do not lab their red zone game. Idiot. It's kind of, if you think about it in a golf adage, it's like the player who takes the driver to the driving range, but doesn't work on their iron play or their wedge game or go to the putting green and work on, you know, the putts and lagging.
Okay, I feel really attacked.
The red zone is the equivalent of basically your short game in golf. And a lot of players just don't spend the time down in the red zone working on their route combos. So you can have the best offense in the world when you're playing basically in between the 20s where you have 60 yards of field to throw to and it's easy to throw one-play touchdowns. But a lot of offenses, in my experience, fall apart when you get them inside your 20-yard line and all of a sudden they actually have to throw reads that aren't just bombing man coverage or bombing a deep zone of some sort. That is where your knowledge of zone rules, match rules, how to play with a lid on the defense being the back of the end zone, it's basically 12 on 11. A lot of players just don't move effectively down in the red zone. And the inverse is true as well. If I just described you as an offensive player where you're lost when you get inside the 20, you don't know how to squeeze in those tight windows, you need to spend time labbing your red zone offense. And that can include a lot of different things. A really good example is running the football. We talk about running the football a lot on this channel because I'm not a player that shames style. I'm a big proponent of running the football. A lot of players out there shame players for running the ball, but don't know how to run the ball themselves when they need a yard for a touchdown down in the red zone, or they need a first down milking a clock out in a 2-minute drill scenario, and they're trying to get their opponent to burn their timeouts so they can win the game. Why is it that players oftentimes shame the run, but they don't know how to get a first down on the ground? Having a good run game benefits you in the red zone. For one, it allows you to control clock. 2, it allows you to stay moving forward and on schedule. And 3, a lot of players don't know how to stop the run, and that's why they complain about it to begin with, which means that you as a red zone defender need to also learn how to stop the run because, again, as I just mentioned, so many players, when they get inside the red zone, their pass game falls apart and they start to turn to running the ball. Another area that a lot of players turn to in the red zone because their passing offense is basically beat a deep zone or bust is the RPOs. You should be using RPOs and you should learn how to stop RPOs because, again, that is all they know down in the red zone. And again, that is another area, like we just used that golf adage, a lot of players can stop general passing offenses, but you work a read bubble into the offense and all of a sudden they fall apart because their main pass setup that they use to defend the drop back plays gets gashed at 7 yards a pop by a simple bubble screen. So you guys should be using the litmus test of RPOs when you get in the red zone as well. Can your opponent defend those? If they can't, they're giving you free touchdowns. And we know that the difference between winning and losing at a high level is the ability to make your opponent take 3 in the red zone and your ability to come away with 7 when you enter the red zone. So those are the 3 ways that you guys are going to beat better players and better teams in Madden 24 and arguably any Madden. If you guys like today's video, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, drop those below. I want to know what you guys are thinking about the content here. I'm so excited to get the ball rolling again tomorrow. I can promise you we're going to have a big upload tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of content on Gridiron Game Plans, so take advantage of that pre-sale if you guys are watching this before the game comes out. Otherwise, sign up for the monthly deal. Far and away the best $9.95 you could spend in the Madden space. We'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm so excited. Until then, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.